Welcome to part 2 of my basic mechanics and objectives of League of Legends. There's a lot of objectives you can do, but what objectives are important or more important than others? There's towers in every lane, but if you had a choice between bottom tower, mid tower, top tower, which tower would you want? Which tower should you go after? And which is more important? There's a whole bunch of situations in where this can change and how can it affect it's more important. If this lane, your bottom lane, and you've pushed your lane all the way up to this tower, you've knocked out the AD carry, the support is out of there, you should probably get this tower. But if you have a choice between getting the tower and Dragon, that's a big difference. If this tower is already really low, take this tower out and go to Dragon after. But if this tower is very high, it's debatable. I would say still take the tower and try and get Dragon after. The only problem with that is depending on what level you are. If it's early in the game, then taking the tower, this tower might not be as important as getting Dragon, especially if it's full health. The reason because that is they have really low spawn. Everyone has really low respawn timers early in the game, so you might be able to do some damage against this, but you won't be able to kill it. And by the time they come back, you have to get out of the lane because you have to push them back out, or you have to poke them again and deal them damage and maybe try and kill them. You never know. So it'd be much safer, and be much safer usually to go to Dragon at the very early levels. The later it goes on, the less Dragon kind of comes important. After around the 30-minute marker, I would say maybe 25-minute marker, the importance of Dragon is definitely not as high as it would be to take this bottom tower. Taking this bottom tower at around 25-minute mark is a lot, if you haven't taken it already, is a lot more important than going after Dragon, I would say. But if you had a choice between taking 3 towers, all of your lanes are pushed up, you just killed Dragon, you're with your jungler, you're with your support, in your AD carry, and you're with your support. You're with your jungler and your support. Generally, the best thing to do would be go for mid tower. Mid tower is by far the most important tower to take out, for one of 2 reasons. One, when this tower is gone, you can go in between their jungle. Your jungler now has basically free roam of their entire jungle. They are not as safe in their jungle as they used to be. They used to have a tower protecting them. The jungler couldn't run in between here because he'd get hit by both towers. But now this is completely open. As if this tower is gone, your mid tower is gone. They are at a disadvantage, and you're at a much bigger advantage because now you and the jungler can go through here. So by far, taking mid tower is probably the most important tower. I would say next to that is probably bot tower, and then top tower would be after that. Bot tower because it's typically easier with your AD carry. If you can get their AD carry out of submission and get more gold for yourself, that's very good. In top tower, that's usually the most reliant. That's the most reliant on top on himself if top tower goes down. If the jungle comes and gank and they get a kill, then they can easily take top tower down. But if you have a choice between you just finished Dragon, taking bot tower or mid tower is definitely more important. Especially if you can come in with a gank, get your mid laner a kill, get him fed, and then take the tower and give gold to everyone. There's also the time of when you should go after Dragon. When should it go after Dragon? Dragon spawns around 3 minutes, I believe, but that is far too early to ever even try to attack Dragon. If you try to attack Dragon at 3 minutes, everyone's level 2, you're gonna die. Dragon at this time has 6,000 health. Around then he probably would have like 3,000, maybe 4,000. You're not going to be able to take him down at that low of level. The only time you're going to be able to fight him is probably around level 7-ish. You're going to want to push your bot laners out, get them out, and then go after the dragon with the jungler. There are very few junglers that very early levels they can solo dragon. One of the biggest ones for that recently is Nunu, because Nunu's Q, when you have his Q, it does about 600 damage. I believe it goes up as the ranks. I'm not sure of the max damage it can do to minions, but it also heals him. And then every 5 basic attacks he does on the dragon, he has a free cast of spell, so he can use his snowball to damage him. So he can keep up health, and around level 9 to 11 is typically when Nunu can come and do this. I can only think of really 2 other people who can do it. Shaco, and generally what Shaco does is he gets Mandarin's Razors, which deals basic attacks, deals 60% or 60 magic bonus damage to that. It used to have a 25% chance to do, what was it, 300 extra damage, but it doesn't have that anymore. So it's not typically as useful as it used to be. But the reason why Shaco can is he has his boxes and he has his clone, and his clone can take damage, and his boxes can whip out a lot of damage. Lee Sin might be able to do it, but the number one person for me of why Nunu is a very strong jungle is because he can come and solo dragon at very early levels and give gold to his entire team, which makes him a lot stronger. Then there's also Baron. Baron spawns at 15 minutes. A lot of games, you'll see this a lot at any games. They'll decide, let's go after Baron. We killed one of their teammates, and it's early in the game, so cooldowns are still low. Let's go after Baron. So everyone comes up to Baron. Your team is coming to Baron. You've killed 1 or 2 of their members, but they only have a 15-second cooldown. So it's around 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes. You're coming into Baron. Baron's going to do 460 damage every attack it hits you with. And at 20 minutes, that's going to kill me in about 4 or 5 attacks. He has decent armor, 55% reduction in physical damage, and 41% in magical damage. So he's tanky. He's very strong. He's going to do a lot of damage on you. He's going to do AoE damage on you. You probably don't have enough lifesteal to live through it. So a lot of people were like, oh, we killed, let's go Baron. They'll ping over here. We come over to Baron. We're fighting him. We're like, yeah, Baron. Oh, crap, my health. It's taking so much. 1 of you die. 3 people still tanking Baron. Enemy team is up. Comes over here. Aces you. Triple kill, quadra kill, penta. You're done. You kill 2 people. Someone came and aced your team. They're much farther ahead of you. Baron is one of the most trickiest, I would say, creatures or jungle buffs. I don't really consider Baron a jungle creature, but one of the buff creatures that you're not really sure when you want to go after him because of the amount of risk you take, especially in the early levels when someone respawns and can come after you and kill you. One of the best times, in my personal opinions, to go after is to at least wait till 35-minute mark. By the 35-minute mark, you should be able to take on Baron, and you should have much more health, defenses, and etc. Things like that. The Baron isn't much of a threat. Lifesteal will be a big thing in here, which will allow you to survive through Baron and probably kill him. Another big problem with Baron early levels is he puts stacks on you that increases magical damage done to you. So if the other team has a Katarina, and everyone took a couple stacks of that extra magic damage, and she comes in and ults, why do you think Katarina gets so many pentas and quadras and all of that? Because of reasons like that, of all of the magic damage increase that you get from Baron done to you. There's very few people who can do Baron early. The number one person who can do Baron the earliest to me is Nasus. Nasus as a jungler Nasus as a jungler or a top laner has 2 things. He has his ultimate which creates like a storm around him, like a sandstorm that does, I think at base level, does 1 to 2% of your HP every second. And if you have AP, it goes up a percent. But his E is also a similar thing. It makes the purple circle and also does percentage-based damage. Those two things together, if you have both of them up, you're going to do about 5% of Baron's health every second, and that lasts about 5 seconds. So that's 25% of Baron's health. Easily gone down very, very quickly, which is why Nasus is one of the only few junglers that can do Baron very, very early. And that's usually the only time you're going to want to do Baron, is if you have at least killed to 2 of the 3 of their teammates. If you kill 2 to 3 of their teammates in a team fight, everyone's high health, you have a Nasus jungler, it's not as risky to go after Baron at this point. Because of the percentage-based damage that's done to him, is going to reduce Baron's health a lot faster. So you have someone like Elias or your Kog'Maw as well who does percentage-based damage off of their spells. That's another reason to go after him. He'll melt. Baron just won't know what hit him, and he'll melt, and your whole team will have a buff, making you incredibly stronger in every lane. So like I said, biggest objectives to get if you're picking between towers, just to recap, is mid, then bottom, then top. These two can be interchanged, but typically as an AD carry, you're going to be able to take bot first, which is more important. But mid is definitely the most important because it opens up your jungle. Dragon cannot typically be taken until at least 15 minutes, or until around people are level 7-ish, and you have your jungle, AD carry, and support, possibly the mid laner coming down. Baron should not be attempted before 30 minutes unless you have a very strong jungler like Nasus or multiple people that have percentage-based damage done on their spells. That means it takes a percentage of the health of what it hits. Thank you guys for watching, and this is part 2 of mechanics and objectives.